But one of the things we spent some time talking about was the Mavic 3. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night I hosted Rotor Talk Live, and I was joined later in the program by my very special co-hosts, Mr. Ron Braun and Mr. Marcus Crawford. We spent a better part of the evening discussing our thoughts on what some of the must-have requirements would be for the DJI Mavic 3. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. The elephant in the room, what we're going to really be talking about here. I'm glad to see Lawrence here tonight. You know, one of the things we spent some time talking about this, and definitely look at the episode of Half Chrome Jones where Chris and Jack interviewed me. But one of the things we spent some time talking about was the Mavic 3. They did sell their Mavic 2. What they do is they don't buy two drones, they buy one drone and they each use it and test it. So just to kind of clarify that for you guys. But it works pretty well for both of them. Okay. We spent some time talking about what, you know, a must-have features for the Mavic 3. Okay. Now, purely what we're throwing out right here, unless Lauren corrects us, it's just pure speculation. Okay. I'm just shooting from the hip right here. Totally shooting from the hip. Okay. Now, one of the things that they talked about, which was real interesting, was Chris is currently in process of testing an Autel Evo 2 6K. Okay. A very powerful drone, a great machine. And one of the things that impressed him was that the Wabasso Bridge, Vero Bridge on the Indian River, that's a new location. Matt, thank you so much. Appreciate your posting that in there. One of the things that the Evo 2 has that the Mavic 2 does not have is their 360 obstacle avoidance is active all the time. And as you know, on the Mavic 2 series, it's only when you're in certain modes that some of those sensors are active, which I agree. It's, you know, a lot of accidents can happen if you're backing up, and not aware of where you're at and so forth. And having 360 on all the time is a great feature. So, that's one of the things I'm hoping that DJI considers to add to the Mavic 3 series when it does come out. Now, one of the other things, and I don't necessarily know if you want to call it a feature or not, the camera is going to be all encompassing. Okay. One of the things that you're not going to see, I personally believe you're not going to see Mavic 3 Zoom, a Mavic 3 Pro. You might have it might be called the Mavic 3 Pro. I don't know. DJI has been shortening their names. Why, I don't know. But you're only going to see one model. You're not going to see two models of this. Okay. You're only going to see one model. So you'll see a Mavic 3. Naming Mavic 3 Pro, who knows? Okay. You're only going to see one model. Now the camera, and one of the things that we talked about the other night, 6K. All right. There's no consumer drone. DJI does not have a 6K consumer drone with consumer drone with a 6K camera on it right now. They simply don't. And it's very interesting. You want to go back. Chris has found a workaround, especially if you don't have a powerful enough PC to handle this footage. And you want to go back and watch that. That's a great clip. And I'll make sure that I put a link either in the description or in the comments and pin the comment up there so you can watch it. He talks about a way to be able to process these files if you don't have a robust enough computer to do that, which is a problem for a lot of people. And it does come out as 6K, even if you don't have, and especially, some of the, I used to use Adobe Premiere Elements, but now I use DaVinci. and resolved. And, he said it will work, which was real interesting. I was very, very pleased to do that. Brian Singleton is in the house. Brian, it's good to see you, my friend. Glad you're here. Thomas Bender, glad you're here. So it's gonna be, you're gonna see a 6K camera. All right, I think it's in order to compete. Okay, they're gonna have to have a 6K camera. I think there's no question asked. Okay. As far as the sensor on the camera and what they're going to allow, what they're going to have on there, I don't know. All right. One of the other things, and I think this would kind of set DJI apart, and it would add a lot of versatility to this platform, to make this camera a 360 camera. All right. In terms of of its capabilities. All right. Have that camera placed lower, obviously there's no Inspire coming out. All right. And there's a huge gap there. So to have a 360 camera on a consumer drone would be incredible. All right. You can just get some absolutely incredible shots. And that would definitely set it apart from something like the Evo, okay? Which, it has its 3-axis gimbal and it does a great job as far as that's concerned, but you don't have the ability to do 360. I think that would really kind of set it apart. Of course, you're going to pay for something like that, all right? This will definitely not be cheap, okay? I can tell you guys that right now. You're going to be paying premium dollars for this drone, all right? It's going to set you back. And I mean, it'll be the most expensive consumer drone that DJI has come out with. That is a for sure. I will tell you that, without any question, hesitation, or reservation at all. So what are some of the other features that I think will be on there? All right. Well, with the camera, one of the things I'm hoping for is that Metro Drones. Bill, thank you so much. Appreciate your loyalty and your gifts. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that here. You definitely want to have a 1-inch sensor. Okay, that's kind of going to go without. And how they combine it with a 6K and what they need, and technically speaking, it's going to be real interesting to see what they do here. Thank you, Macy K. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You're going to want to have a good low light sensor, because one of my things about the Mavic 2 Pro is that low light capability and being able to capture some great sunsets out there. Absolutely, positively fantastic. So I think that's something you'll definitely see. You're probably going to want to, they were talking about speed. Chris and Jack and I were on Sunday. And, one of the things, 40, 45 miles an hour, I can see them probably approaching, maybe trying to get it up to about 60 or 60 miles an hour. Again, it would compete with something along the lines of an Inspire to be able to keep up, say, with vehicles and doing some filming with something like that. So I think you might see a faster drone as far as that's concerned. I think one of the other things that you want to see is definitely some increase in runtime. Now, I'm thinking this platform, okay, for a Mavic 3, it's going to be bigger than a Mavic 2. And again, this is just pure speculation on my part. I foresee it being a bigger platform. And with a bigger platform, it allows for a bigger battery, and that will allow for more runtime. I would be hoping to get a solid 40 minutes out of this battery, okay? I think that they need to crank it up there, okay? And what I mean, a solid 40 minutes, not at 30 minutes and it's getting ready to tank out, but maybe at 35, it's starting to dwindle down and you need to think about coming back home or, packing it in, okay? I'm hoping that it'll have some type of a capability with that as well. You know, the portability, obviously the portability is the key with something like this. And that's been the hallmark of the Mavic series, is having this drone being something that's portable, easy to fold up, easy to take on board a plane with you if you're going away for the weekend, easy to get set up. You know, that ease, that still needs to continue. Okay. You know, you cannot get away from that. That's a must. That's a must have. You got to look forward to having something like that. I'm sorry. I'm kind of reading the chat as I'm going along here too. You know, I'm kind of jealous of you guys being able to get together on the 20th. If I could, I would, but I'm telling you what, I am knee deep in boxes. I kid you not. And walking around, it's you know, it's in the middle of the night. I got to have a flashlight if I'm getting up and hitting a midnight snack or something, so I don't walk into any boxes out there. Pricing, and I think I did talk a little bit about this. You know, as far as features are concerned, you know, it's going to have DJI Care Refresh. It's going to be pricey, all right? It's going to be real pricey. And I think this is going to use the Fly app. I think they're moving away. They've made a definite trend of moving away from the DJI Go 4 app, okay? I think that's going to be, if you want to call it a legacy app, I think that's where that's going. The Fly app is definitely where things are heading. This is where I see this happening. I definitely see OcuSync 3.0 with a drone like this, okay? This new transmission system. I think you'll get even better range than OcuSync 2.0. I think it'll be even more stable. I think it will be a great performer. Now, with that being said, okay, will OcuSync 3.0 be compatible with the smart controller? Excellent question. I don't have an answer for something like that. But here's another caveat for something like that. This may be coming with a smart controller, a new smart controller, a new and improved smart controller, and that's a whole topic in and of itself to talk about something like that. But I think that's probably you might see that as a possible option. Again, we're just going out there and speculating here, folks. Okay, we don't have anything concrete on this at all. All right, we do know it's coming out. We just don't know when, and we don't know what the specs are. We don't really know a thing. And of course, you will see remote ID on here. All right, I know I read that article about it being delayed and so forth, but it's going to be on here. It's going to be available. It'll be something that you'll be able to use. All right, and it will be very functional, and it won't be as limited as the Mavic Air 2's capability is right now, because that's a very primitive feature, if you want to call it that. All right, it's nice, but it's not greatly functional. All right, it doesn't really provide a lot of value. You know, and there's a lot of what I would call false positives with that. So, you know, I think they'll have it down. I think it'll work. I think it'll work really well. So that's going to be incorporated into this as well. But that OcuSync 3.0, and you'll probably see a new smart controller with that too. And like I said, we can do a whole night talking about a new smart controller 2.0 for DJI. And, you know, the success of the first smart controller will definitely help the success of the second smart controller. I can tell you that right now. It will be something that will definitely be eye-catching. Now, here's another thing, and this was something we had kind of talked about this just a little bit. DeMarco or Marcus is in the house. Marcus, good to see you, my friend. You know, we talked a little bit about this the other night with Chris and Jack with the Mavic 3, and we talked about exchanging cameras, okay, and you know, have the camera be a swappable camera, and I think that would be a great idea. I mean, they had talked about it with the Mavic 2, with the Zoom and the Pro, but it never did. They said even during the presentation that they would have a process for you to be able to do that, and they could swap it out for you. Well, I've never ever seen anything on that, but you've seen the videos where a lot of people are swapping out the, switch, going from a pro to a zoom and a zoom to a pro. And it's really, our good friend, probably the first video I ever saw on it, Mr. Original Dobo himself, Ken Dono, he did it, worked like a champ. So, and it's super easy. It's screws, unplug some clips, put it in, it's good to go. But I think what they're talking about is like taking a module off, having it, twisting it in, getting it locked, and then taking it out and then putting another one in. So I think you may see something like that on this camera, which would, I hate to use the word future-proof, but it would definitely increase the longevity of the drone, okay, and the capabilities of the drone, all right? Because with firmware updates, being able to do that, this could potentially be one of the best, if not the best drones, not only that DJI has made, but that has ever come out. It has this capability. It really does. If DJI's engineers and marketing team have really been paying attention, and if they've been listening to my show and Build a Drone Reviewer, no, why would they listen to me? No, they listen to consumers, okay, and they want to get something out there. Imagine having something with the capability of an Inspire 2 in the relative size of a Mavic 2 platform, okay? Having that capability, I think that would be incredible. I think it really would. I'm just looking through the chat right now. Marcus is ready to hit the buy button on the Mavic 3. Is there Mike Roach? Mike, welcome. Good to see you. Just wait, as I said, there may be a delay. Okay, there may be a delay on the Mavic 3. Okay, so it's gonna hopefully be sometime this year. We don't know when, but this is just, I wanted to go through, because we had talked about this Sunday night, and I really liked the discussion that Chris and Jack and I had, and I kind of wanted to incorporate it into tonight's show to talk about it, to let you guys know and to get some of your thoughts on what you guys think. It's going to be full blown avoidance system. Greg Pittman, you're right, Greg. It needs that. It really does need a full blown obstacle avoidance system. You can't have a drone you can't have it in a mode to get what you need. Okay, it needs to be there. It needs to be active, and the ability. And I think one of the other things that I wanted to add, and we really didn't talk about this Sunday night, and you bring up a good point, Greg. One of the other things is the ability to turn that on and off, a menu item or a switch on the controller, to be able to turn that on or off, or portions of that on or off, okay? And just, it would give you a warning. This area is off. Please be aware, okay? Please be aware of your surroundings, okay? Having that capability, I think, is key, and I think it's critical, and I think it'll help a lot of people not crash drones, okay? Which is something we really don't want to do here, guys. That's just would not be well. Ray Kelly, Lauren down our Mavic 3 before Christmas. I hope. I hope so, Ray. I really do. Should be much sooner, but could be a delay, according to Lauren. So, it'll be here. Rest assured, it will come. We just don't know when. So it's something to look forward to. It's also something you can put your nickels and dimes in the piggy bank to help save for that, because, like I said, this is going to be pricey, folks. Okay, and I'm going to say we're going to start at right around 2K is what I'm thinking. Okay, and up. For your full-on fly more package and all that kind of thing, you might be hitting close to $2,500, but with the extra batteries, case, and all that kind of good stuff. On one, it's like, be prepared, because there is going to be sticker shock on this. All right, don't. You heard it here first, okay? And that's not speculation. That's a guarantee. I guarantee you there will be sticker shock on this drone. All right. It'll be unlike anything that you've seen in a consumer drone. It'll also be, when I say, excuse me, the most feature packed and probably one of the best, if not the best ever consumer drone, it will also be the most expensive. That is not speculation. That's a guarantee. You can take that to the bank and deposit it almost. Okay. That's something I would definitely say is going to happen. All right. Definitely. All right. So, we got a lot to look forward to. And the old adage is this, and I know Ron has said this, Marcus has said this, I've said this. I know my good friend Ken Dono has said this ad nauseum. Enjoy the drones that you have right now, okay? It's the whole thing of being able to get up and fly in the air. One thing, and I was going to record a video, and I'll do it next week to show you. My next door neighbors have put in, we all were able to purchase the land in behind our houses back here where we live on the lake. And my next door neighbor, as a birthday gift, his father got him a very nice, I'm going to say 40-foot flagpole, and the American flag is flying up there. Okay. And he has a little light and has a solar light on it. So it's lit up at night, which is really nice. But one of the things, and I was talking about this with Jack and Chris the other night, since January has hit, we have had just about every day 35 to 40 mile an hour winds. It has been, you can't fly the Mini 2. Okay. That's out of the question. All right. Right now. No can do. All right. Mavic Air 2, I could probably get it up there. The Fimi X8, I could probably get it up there. I think the Mavic 2 Pro, I think it would handle it fine. And I think the Phantom 4 Pro would handle it fine. But we're talking, that flag, you can tell there is absolutely no doubt how windy it is here right now. Normally we get these type of winds, and normally it was like that up north as well. And a lot of you can attest to this during the month of March. March was a good kite month, as they said. All right. The winds have been nonstop. Okay. And it doesn't matter where you're at here in Florida. It's just, and I think Ray could probably attest to that. Ron Braun is in the house. Ron, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you're here tonight. The link I sent didn't work. Oh. Well, let's try that again. I posted a new link for Ron and Marcus. If you guys want to join me, I wouldn't mind. And I'm sorry about that. That link, I think the link was for the week before. That's probably why it didn't work. So there you go. It's posted. So but yeah, it was a great time talking to Jack and to Chris. And they do a great job out there with half chrome drones. There's Ron. Mr. Ron.
Hello. Sorry about that. I got home late and then I hit the link. But you'll be proud of me. I was late for a reason. I was out flying the Mavic Pro. Sorry about. I muted my sound. I don't think that was me. So I didn't want to miss the show. If you got the Mavic 3 tonight, Bill.
Well, it's under wraps here, so it's in one of those boxes that I have. One of the 300 boxes I have out behind me right now.
I got the credit card ready. I'm ready to buy right now.
I am too.
Did you learn any information over on the Half Chrome show?
Yeah, those guys are. I tell you what, those guys do a fantastic job. They do a lot of FPV flying. Okay.
Send me the link. Send me the link to that live show. I didn't even know what it was. So I couldn't watch it live. I must not. I'm subscribed to them, but I didn't get any notifications. Send me that link, and I'd like to see you on that show.
Oh, I will. It was we had a great time, and they had a segment on there where Chris flies a tiny whoop through the house, and people have to guess how long he can fly it. And whoever's closest to the time will win a prize. Okay, and they gave away some of those pretty decent that on that, but it was actually pretty fun. And they put the stream on and they show it. It was a riot. It was a blast. It really was. But I mean, these guys really, really, you know what? They do a lot of what Marcus does. You know, they hit a lot of these $100, $200 drones. They do a lot of those reviews, and my hat's off to Marcus and to them for doing those reviews. Go ahead.
Well, it's tougher to do what Marcus and they do than us reviewing those DJI drones.
Yeah,
they have to work harder than we do.
They're harder to fly. I'll tell you that. They take a lot more work to get in the air, and they're all different. No, but what I wanted to say was our friend Lauren Donauer just gave us a good bit of information in the chat. $24.99.
Wow.
Sold, Lauren.
That's the price point. Well, Bill, I said this, Marcus, did you hear? I pulled a Lauren last night on Drone Nation.
You did.
You let something out.
I predicted we would see the Insta360 Go 2 this week.
Boom.
Bam, it dropped this morning. I predicted it last night live on the air. People can watch it. I boldly predicted it would be here this week.
I saw Captain Jones' video on it.
Hey, all kidding aside, that thing looks interesting.
It does. Of course, the only thing is it's only about $100 cheaper than the one that's twice as good as it.
It's expensive. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
But here's the point that I'm making is particularly the guys that are doing like RC cars and stuff, to be able to mount it on a car looks like to me like it would be very easy. And then also, guess what I'm thinking, guys, is a hat cam, right? I mean,
they have an accessory for that. Yep.
Yeah, and it comes with the accessory, and you can adjust the tilt of it. Because I don't know if you guys have ever tried that. It's really hard. I've tried it a few times, and the hat keeps falling down on your head because
I could never do the GoPro on the hat. I always messed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work real well. Well, you know who did a great thing, and I saw I think it was maybe about a year or so ago, when Kelly Shores he had a 360 camera on the underneath, I think, of his Phantom 4. And it was the view from it was incredible. The video footage that he got off it. Unfortunately, I think if I'm not mistaken, it fell off there.
Bad ending. Well, it's funny you should say that, Bill. I think on our show last night, Ron Lockwood was on, and I think Ron said he's going to bring some kind of a mount that put his 360 on his Mavic. I think that's what he said, Marcus.
Oh, really? Oh, that'll be interesting. Yeah,
that would definitely be interesting. That's for sure.
Hey
Bill, I got a little something in the mail yesterday. My Part 107 hard card arrived yesterday.
Well,
hey, all kidding aside, really, congratulations, Ron. That's a big accomplishment.
Well, and I think, Ron, what's real interesting, you told me there were some questions you weren't expecting on the actual test. Okay. Ron, I had the same time the first time I took the test, okay, and I forget who I used. It wasn't Remote Pilot, but a lot of the questions it was totally ambush. I'd never seen them before, so it was like you had to kind of like do some heavy thinking on them. And
seat of the pants.
And you know what, Bill? I don't think I saw anything that I didn't hear before. But my problem is the stuff that I studied real hard: the weather, the charts, what do you call the tasks, reading the things. I studied real hard at. I knew that stuff backwards and forwards. I get in there to the test, and I hardly get any questions on the stuff that I put most of my stuff. I mean, I did get questions on this stuff, but just a couple. And the things that I did study real hard, I already forget what I said. It was one thing I knew a little bit about, but I didn't study hard. I mean, I must have got 100 questions. 10 of them must have been on one thing over and over again.
Well, one of the questions that constantly will come up, they will ask you about drinking 24 hours and then flying. Okay. That has been on every person that I've talked to. That's been on their test. They've asked that question ad nauseum.
As it should be.
I got asked it like 3 different ways. Yep. I got like 3 questions concerning that. Like, the one, like, how long can you fly after drinking? And they asked it, a couple different ways. But luckily, Jason, he focused on that. So I was prepared no matter how they asked the question that I knew the answer.
Hey, Bill, I'm going to ask you for the screen for just a second.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Mark is going to share his Mavic 3 photo.
Tell me when you guys see that.
I saw a drone. I saw a little diagram of it. Looks like a hard drive. Or
no, what that is that's what you were talking about earlier, Bill. For the Matrice 300, it's the radar.
The radar.
Talking about, and it's looking for power lines, wires, branches, etc. So,
I think Lauren leaked that on Drone Nation one night by accident.
Lauren actually asked me to show you this. So.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
that is fantastic. Well, that's like putting A with B. That kind of makes sense. That really
and what a cool product. A circular scanning millimeter wave. I never even heard of that, but evidently it's a deal. But I don't know about you, Ron, but the first thing I thought of was the Skydio. Would be cool to have something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of avoidance. Yeah, I definitely think so. Well, I don't know if
we got you off track. We got you off track here, or whatever. You want us to talk about the Mavic 3? We got to talk about everything but the Mavic 3.
No, early on in the show, I had also talked about apparently there's been a delay as far as remote ID is concerned. It's going to be officially announced. Tate Kestelou talked about it today. And put some articles about that, and it was like in the early part of the show. It's like a couple of weeks, but it's also for those of you who need to, possibly take your recurrent exam. That means you still got to fork over the $165 to do it right now, which is going to be I'll tell you what. Of all the things, and taking the exam, Ron. Okay, now what was great for me was Autel. I bought my X-Star Premium. They said, if you take and pass the exam, we'll completely reimburse you for it. And did. They sent me a American Express gift card for $150.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, that came in super handy. I can definitely tell you that. 100%.
Cool.
But, one of the things that we did with the Mavic 3, kind of like just to get you guys up to speed to what I was talking about, Jack and Chris and we kind of talked about that, and some of the features. One of them was Chris is currently testing an Evo 2 6K right now. All right.
I've been watching some of his videos. He's been doing a very good job with it.
He sure has. And one of the things that he mentioned that he thinks the Mavic 3 should have is all around obstacle avoidance all the time. Okay. Not in a certain mode, not when you flip to a certain mode.
As long as it's defeatable, Bill. As long as you can turn it off when you want to.
Exactly. And to have the capability of turning it on and off via menu item. Okay. Another thing that Chris had mentioned too, a 6K camera. Okay. I think that's a must in order to be able to compete. Now, Chris brought up something real interesting because, I had mentioned that, we've all three have talked about it before is, being able to process, 6K footage, which sounds like a real chore. But from what Chris said, it comes out in a different format and you can process it and then upload it in 6K. And he explained it on the show, and I'll send you guys links for that show. It was real interesting what he was talking about.
Bill, I just want to pile on to that a little bit. So, like probably most of us, I always thought, well, what would I ever need 6K for? I don't have a monitor that can display 6K, etc. But Ken Herron, when he was testing the Evo 2 Pro as well, he did some cropping in. And it's amazing the difference. He was in Knoxville by that AT&T building, and he turned around and there's some stadium there, I think Nissan Stadium or something. and he cropped in 4K on the sign on the stadium, and then he cropped it in with the 6K, and it's quite a difference. And so if you are going to do that kind of stuff in post-production, I can see that's where that would really be come in handy.
Yeah, I really concur with Marcus. I mean, most of us don't really want to publish 6K video now because it wouldn't do any good anyways, but that ability, even if Marcus talked about post processing cropping, but even if during the flight, if you have it in 6K, that's going to give you more ability because it has a zoom. Unlike the Mavic 2 Pro, it has a digital zoom feature right on the screen, so you can zoom right in on your subject live as you're doing it. And if you're in 6K, it's going to give you that many more stops of lossless zoom. Where you're not going to lose any image quality at all in the 6K. So if only for that, I mean, lots of times you find you'll have no desire to ever zoom in on anything, but sometimes it may be a subject that you're trying to get in your video that's kind of even farther away than you could fly to, and that ability to zoom in or crop it and post to 6K could make the difference, Bill.
I think you both bring up a valid point with that, and I think that would be fantastic to be able to have that capability with like a Mavic 3. Now, one of the things that we all said on Sunday night was it's probably going to be, well, it will be the best consumer drone that DJI has ever put out. It's also going to be the most expensive consumer drone that DJI has ever put out.
Hey, Bill, I see in the chat there's some talk about the Mini 3, and it just so happens. Honestly, I'm under DNA, but I'm not really that worried about it, and I can kind of show it off here. There, folks. There's the Mini 3. I mean, look at this baby. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Maybe it's the Holy Stone HS120. I couldn't resist. I saw him talking about it. So I'm gonna throw that out there.
That's good.
Yeah, Marcus, he lays some Holy Stone so nobody knows that he's actually got the Mavic 3. But back to Bill's point, the price, I mean, I guess we're getting ready for sticker shock because we got sticker shock with the little FPV drone. I mean, not that I'm saying it's overpriced, but we didn't expect to pay to get everything that most people want. We didn't expect to be near $2,000. And I'm not saying that's not a fair price, but I'm just saying I didn't expect to have the full kit be almost $2,000. Including the DJI Care Refresh. So with that being said, the $24.99 for the Mavic 3s is not really that out of place for the price, the way the FPV drone was priced.
Well, especially if it's going to bring a lot to the table, I'm quite sure. And that's the kind of the thing about it for me. As a prosumer drone, yeah, that's a lot of money, and it's a big decision to make. Mm-hmm. But Ron, just like your Evo 2, I mean, I'm sure you would argue that it was well worth what you paid for it, right? I mean, it's a phenomenal piece of tech.
Yeah, I mean, the 1-inch sensor like the Mavic 2. I mean, the camera, and and I'm not saying the camera is better than the Mavic 2 Pro. Some ways it is. Some ways it isn't. It all depends on what you're looking for the most. I think it's a tad better in low light or whatever. I kind of like the colors better on the Mavic 2 Pro. So you bounce back and forth. But, they're both great cameras. And, you get that. I mean, I'm sure the Mavic 3 will be playing catch up. You get a good extra 5 minutes of flight time out of the Evo 2 than you do over the Mavic 2 Pro. At least 5 minutes extra flight time. I'm trying to think a couple of the little ways. I mean, the apps maybe not as good on the phone, but the app has some things in it that the Go 4 doesn't have, and vice versa too. So, and you get the extra sensors, like we talked before. I don't have the Evo 2 Pro. All its sensors are working all the time in every flight mode. With the 2 Pro, like all the sensors are only working in some of the tracking modes and tripod mode.
Hey,
they're not working in just regular flight modes.
you guys both touched on something that I have never experienced before, and I know you guys have both really made me understand the value of it, and that's that 1-inch sensor. I've never had a drone with a big sensor like that, so I'm looking forward to the Mavic 3 with that kind of a quality of a camera. I never thought I would need. I'm just an amateur, Never thought I would need that quality of a camera, but when I see some of the things that you guys have done, kind of makes me want to try some different things. So
just to remind everyone, these were our speculations purely. This isn't based on any rumors, anything that we have seen out there, any other information, except our experience with DJI drones. Question of the day: what do you think are some of the must-have requirements for the DJI Mavic 3? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.